Hello, and welcome back to the Flask Full of Failure podcast, where we'll eventually change this logo, I swear. It has nothing to do with laziness. All has to do with school. That's what I'm going to go with.
I'm also lazy.
Yeah, he's kind of the one who makes the thing, so... Eh. Um, anyways, this week, we have me, Logan, and we also have...
Scott here, for all your succulent entertainment needs.
I'm the homeless guy, Justin. They pulled off the street to get in here. So, yeah.
And I'm Mitchell, a little scared of Scott.
It's okay, everybody is. Definitely did pull Justin off the side of the road somewhere. Just found him. I was like, hey, do you kind of like video games? He's like, I guess. And then we threw him in a van. And
Yep. Please send help.
Don't send the help. It's fine.
I gave you food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
How rude can one person be? And alcohol.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, I'm fine with this.
So I guess we can go with the question that I'm afraid to ask Justin. What's everybody been playing this week? I
Are you afraid to ask him that?
Because it's just gonna. This podcast is going to be what happens every time that we mention what game we're playing, where that's the only thing anybody talks about for an hour.
I played like 2 games of Ultimate Chicken Horse on the day not to be spoken, and about 15 minutes of Wings of V.
Yeah, I played that with you. Not Wings of V, the Ultimate Chicken Horse.
And
So, what is this Ultimate Chicken Horse? Because I've yet to look into this thing.
So basically,
And here it goes.
It's like Mario Maker. But like, so basically, you and whoever else you're playing with, each one of you are a little animal, and at the beginning of each round, you get to pick items and place them on the map to try and get from the starting point to the goal.
so it's actually not at all like Mario Maker in that you build it while you're doing the game. Pretty much, there's a point A and point B in a small map. It's multiplayer, and you have to try to build it so you can get to the end while simultaneously fucking over the other players.
It's
So
a lot of fun.
It's a
Yeah, I
competitive,
just pulled it up in the Steam store, and it looks really interesting.
yeah, a competitive build as you go platformer.
It's a competitive Mario Maker if you were to do Mario Maker in real time versus pre-making a level.
Also, they added buff flowers, and it is the best thing.
They are terrifying. They are great, but they are terrifying. So, yeah, I played a little bit of that. I feel like I also played some other things.
Also, Super Fight.
Oh yeah, we got Super Fight. Just have no one to stream it to, so it makes it kind of like that streaming aspect of it's not there. So that's fun.
Which is honestly fine since it's still just a fun game to play with friends.
Yeah. I have the actual physical version of it. We played that together before too.
Yep, and then everyone left to different corners of the planet.
Basically.
Literally.
Yeah, we're basically like those, like any of those quests where you have to go to the different like sides of the earth, and once you get us all in one place, we basically make a giant blob of failure.
It's
A
really pretty
Flask
awful.
full of it.
It's kind of like Captain Planet, but instead of being like an Earth-friendly pollution fighting man, it's just a giant glob of disgusting, atrocious failure. So I mean,
Me.
No, stop.
yeah. So I played that, and then I bought a game called Hand of Fate, which is like a deck building third-person fighting game. It's weird. It's really cool, but it's weird.
Oh, yeah, might also be good to mention that Super Fight was bought for me by Logan because I currently have no money.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
bought
school.
I bought it for like everyone because I wanted everybody to play it with me. It was like on sale for like $2 though, so I didn't feel bad about it.
Unlike Zelda.
It's like half a beer.
Unlike Zelda, so.
Dude, I could be having half a beer right now.
It wouldn't even touch you, though.
Well, I still have whiskey right next to me that I'm not drinking in ages.
That costs more than half a beer.
Sure does.
So Scott, what have you been playing?
Well, in the ways of single player things, I haven't had a lot of time recently, but I did finally, after buying it like 2 months ago, I I did finally get through majority of the main part of Project Diva X.
Oh boy.
Yeah, which is the third game in the Project Diva.
Scott, would you like to
Why?
explain what Project Diva is?
'Cause I
Uh,
honestly have no idea.
oh, I'm
his game
sorry.
track.
I omitted the first part of the title. I mean, the full title is Hatsune Miku Project Diva X.
Oh, got it.
They're like the quote unquote, well, I'm quote unquote, they are like the official Vocaloid games. That you like, they're rhythm games. And they're also hard as balls. But
Yeah, I can attest to that. He let me play it once, and I was like, "This is difficult. How the hell?"
because the whatchamacallit, the you like in Guitar Hero and other things like that, the place where the notes pass over is always in the same spot, whereas in Project Diva it's just all over the screen. And so
I was gonna say, and to also be perfectly honest, I still know nothing about Vocaloid other than the characters and having heard some of the songs.
oh, then this sounds like the perfect game for you, because they always have a nice mix of like songs that are like the quote unquote popular ones, and then some other like random ones. But also the other reason why it's hard is that the rhythm part of it's not necessarily like to the beat of the song. It's sometimes to the vocals, and that can get a little weird
That
sometimes.
sounds awful.
It'll go back and forth. That's the worst part.
Pretty much, it's designed well because you know how like at fear of sounding racist, how like Asians in general, there's the ones who are like so good at video games that it
It's
doesn't
disgusting.
seem possible. Right. They kind of design them almost around them because basically the absolute hardest difficulty, all of the note placements make perfect sense. But as you go down in difficulty, they start removing them, but they remove them in such a way that doesn't make sense. So
the game's built around the hardest difficulty level.
pretty
and then
much
they just
because
kind of like slapped in the lower difficulties.
they're released in arcades in Japan before they're actually released on consoles. So it's a very arcade thing to begin with.
That sounds like the game for me because I love playing games that are way too hard for me that I never finish.
Yeah, and this one actually, the first two are just like you do a song and then you unlock two more, and then you do a song and you unlock two more, and you just go down like that. And then there's also the classic thing where you can pet the people and give them milk, as Logan remembers.
I was actually gonna ask you to explain the whole why I think the game
Yeah,
why I think I considered it the creepy milk game.
Yeah, because it has like a Pokemon Ami section of it where you can try and bond with all the characters and stuff, which I never did except for I bought a bunch of milk one time and just kept trying to feed them milk.
And you were speaking very creepily about it too. You were just like, "Come on, Miku,
it was really fun.
Just drink the milk. Miku, just take the milk and love me." And I was like, "Okay."
Although, pretty sure they've removed that feature in this most recent game in favor of just making because there's not a story or anything to the other two, but this one actually kind of has a story, which is really interesting. But
wait, so you Nintendogs robot girls?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not robots; they're digital.
Wow.
Anime girls.
You're very insensitive, Mitchell. That they're very they care a lot
trigger.
about their image. They're divas.
I'm sorry. So you Nintendogs hologram girls?
Yes. But I never play the game that long to actually do anything. I basically just unlock all the songs and then maybe go through them again on different difficulties and try and unlock costumes. And then I just download the songs off the internet and listen to them in the car. And usually never touch it. I mean, it's one of those things where it's if I'm going to be on an airplane ever again and don't care about what the people sitting next to me think, then
Scott, don't be silly. You don't ever care what people around you think.
Well, that's what hentai is for.
Well, see, I thought that until you recommended that I watch her, and
I have not
having watched it yourself, and I downloaded it and decided to watch it on an airplane, and there's full nudity sex within the first 5 minutes.
I still have not.
How you make a flight interesting, 101.
Yeah, well.
Anyway,
Yeah, so I guess we'll go on to Justin now, which is what I was kind of like, eh. It's not like an actual It's just kind of like I know this is going to get a lot of. I feel like this is going to get a lot of discussion. Justin, what have you been
I've
playing?
been playing a smorgasbord of older games and trying to not get myself overhyped for Dishonored 2, which unfortunately I did. So the beginning of the week was like Civ 5, RimWorld, Insurgency, and Mad Max, and then it all let loose yesterday with Dishonored 2. And I should probably go into rehab now because full-fledged addiction.
I mean, I guess just give your kind of. I don't know how far in the game you are, but just your small review of it.
It's good, but I like the first one better.
That was a great short review. Thank you.
As short as I can make it. It's good, but honestly, I think the first one was a little bit better.
Well,
They
that's
tried too hard to make it feel more open worldy, and it just doesn't feel the same anymore.
Yeah,
It's still enjoyable though.
I still the first one to play, as I've only done first hour and a half of it.
I am absolutely shit at stealth, so that's not ever happening.
The thing is, you don't necessarily have to play it as stealth. You can go
No.
non-stealth if you want.
But I suck at stealth, and then if I don't stealth, I get stabbed repeatedly. So it's kind of one of those. The only
Yeah,
thing I
I
remember
mean-
about playing Dishonored was I was walking through a place really quietly, had stealthily gotten through most of the area, and as I'm turning a corner, a door opened. Somebody saw me, and I was like, "Great, time to kill everyone, I guess."
I mean, you've basically summed up the entirety of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, a key part of the skill of being stealthy is having good luck.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It does take a bit of luck.
Yeah.
Because
Be
there are
like
times,
2 feet from somebody, but they don't notice you. It's like, how did that even?
and you're just like repeating your head, don't turn around, don't turn around, don't turn around, you turn around, don't look down, don't look down, don't look down, I'm dead.
All right, so I guess from here we can move on to news. And I guess the first little bit of news we'll just go ahead and get out of the way is Sombra was finally announced. The thing that's been leaked basically since Overwatch came, or leaked and talked about since Overwatch came out, right?
Pretty much like maybe a month after the game was released.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit after that.
I feel like that was before, but I don't really remember. But yeah, I know
But
it's been talked about a lot. So
yeah, I've been seeing quite a bit of stuff about Sombra and the PTR, and Sombra looks fun and very different. She doesn't seem to fit into any like kind of like party or meta that existed already so far. So I think people are building a lot of new metas around the way she works and new team comps.
she seems to be more of my style of character, I guess.
She is exactly my style of character. Everything I do in the game is play characters where I could get behind people, disrupt, and then die horribly. And while they're turned around, the rest of my team like floods.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds perfect for me. And I could disable the shield while I'm dying.
Yep.
Like, it was worth it. Blech.
And Scott's just happy for other reasons.
well, mostly just because maybe now there'll be some offense hero that I'm able to play other than Pharah.
And also the fact that you're not going to accidentally heal the...
Oh yeah, well, when it was rumored that there was going to be a spy-ish class added, I was like, no, because that was like a huge thing that, like, personally I was happy about Overwatch, is that there were no spies or anything. Most like I'm totally fine with Sombra because she can't disguise as other classes. If she was able to, or other like the opposing team, if she were able to disguise as the opposing team, then I just probably would have killed myself because. I play medics a lot, and I always end up healing spies 100% of the time.
You know, I know that most people are going to understand what you're talking about, but it's funny because you did not mention at all that you were talking about Team Fortress 2.
Oh, well, I mean...
You just said
glad I can
spy
figure
and
that out.
medic, which are very, I realize now that I'm thinking about it, are very just generally broad terms. So, yeah.
Also, I was really hoping, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was still just like deep down hoping that Sombra would be like a prop hunt character, where she could like disguise herself as different props and just like run around like prop hunt.
That'd be funny.
But yeah, apparently her damage is really low. Like she does less damage than Tracer, for example. So she's much better for disruption than actual DPS. Like if you want to be playing at DPS, you're much better off playing anyone other than Sombra. But she's good for the disruption she has, like I said, and being able to disable it to make it easier for like your other big hitters to easily take down like the shields. With her EMP, her ult being by far the best part about her, just being able to like get that last push in without fear of being stomped by a single ult someone has.
Also, the fact that the 3v3 and 1v1 have also been added, are going to be added to Overwatch as well. Makes
So
things a little
when
more
are these changes coming in?
soon. No official date.
But not
So-
like the next week.
Maybe. So
Possibly.
the PTR has been it's already been like released into the PTR where
That's their
you
testing.
could, yeah, you could download it on PC and then play. It's like the unstable version, you could technically call it. And so it's all there, and I've seen a bit of the 1v1. I've seen none of the 3v3, but it all looks super fun, and I'm super excited for it. There's a huge update today on the 11th, so it might be coming out pretty soon. Since
I mean, it would just be really convenient timing because next weekend, if I remember seeing the thing right, is like a free to play weekend or something like that. So it would be kind of convenient to throw out your changes right before that to get people to try it out. Which
makes sense.
I'm finally
Next
going to
weekend.
cave in and give it a try next weekend.
Free weekend is next weekend. The
Oh, you're
18th
giving in?
The 18th.
I will
to the
finally cave in
21st.
and give it a try.
Yeah. So just to know the way they're reworking it, they're taking out Brawl and adding an arcade mode, which, to my knowledge, will have 3 things on it. One
That's
of them will
gibberish to me.
be the like recycle Brawl. The other one will be a 1v1 where you play a random person, and you're both randomly selected the same character out of anyone on the roster, and you have to just kill each other. You have 1 life. If you win the round, and it's 9 rounds. We both play the same character and try to get the most points.
That's pretty cool. Who's the better blank?
Yeah. And then the other one is a 3v3 classic deathmatch where there's 1 life and last team standing.
That's pretty cool too.
Unless you have Mercy, in which case you have,
You have a
I guess at the most, maybe 5 lives.
Just depends on how good you do.
So
The thing I know is that I want to play Reaper at first, and that's it.
oh my god, you will be so edgy. Like people will talk to you and they'll
Yeah.
go, "Ow, I've been cut." He's so edgy.
I mean, that is me in real life sometimes, so...
Do you already have a Blizzard account?
I should? Question mark?
If you don't, and you want to play Reaper, it's pretty much required for you to put as many X's before and after your username as possible,
Don't forget to use the word death in there too.
and maybe
Or
reference
assassin.
an Evanescence song.
Perfect, so it's going to be my childhood all over again.
So moving on from here, we have the fact that Nintendo continues to disappoint in the way of their sales. The NES Classic was released today and immediately sold out. Luckily, this time, instead of it being like the Pokemon Go Plus, their websites and stuff have actually said that they're going to try and have a steady supply of them. So,
Oh, good.
so in theory, they will be releasing this thing steady and constantly up through the holiday season.
I don't even know what this is.
The
Can I call
NES
bullshit without
Classic?
breaking FCC guidelines?
Yeah, you can call bullshit at any point.
Perfect.
Basically, the NES Classic is a tiny, like, baby mini version, which is adorable, of the NES with 60 preloaded games on it, which are all the classic NES era games. Legend of Zelda, original Super Mario Brothers, there's some Kirby games on there. I think Metroid's on there too. So
This sounds dope as shit.
it's basically $60. It's a mini thing, and you get like a NES controller that you can plug into the Wii controllers. So it's pretty cool.
$60 for 60 classic games? That sounds awesome.
Wait, is it 30? It's
Dollar
30.
game?
I think it's 30.
Oh.
Regardless, it's still a
50
decent
cents a
amount.
game.
Wait, $60 for 30 games? That's bullshit.
Yep.
That's like
Oh, $2 a game.
That's like half a Call of Duty.
You get like a tiny little NES.
Yeah, like
It's-
a baby NES that hooks up to HDMI.
So, I
Is it-
mean, it's always
just-
shelf art.
It plays them in 4K.
I would love
Wait,
to
really?
have this. That sounds awesome.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, but so it's. I mean, obviously it's sold out. I'm not surprised that it's sold out. It's just one of those things where it's like I would have kind of expected them to plan at least a little bit more for this.
I'm glad I'm not a Nintendo fanboy and that the only thing I really care about Nintendo at this point is just Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just.
Which is only distributed by Nintendo.
Yeah, and it's just like that. Like I said, with the Pokemon Go Plus, I still have yet to find a new one. None of the stores have them in stock, so it's just kind of a mess of that with that. But supposedly, according to to like Nintendo's official stuff, they will be releasing these things, so like continually. So it's not going to be a Pokemon Go Plus where it's like you check in with any of the stores and they're like, we have no idea when we're getting a new shipment in. So, hooray!
Woo.
It's funny. I have a buddy who's a manager at GameStop who had one, and he lost
Sorry.
it.
Yeah, same with me. I know I talked to somebody about it, so
No, he used it like once and then lost it.
yeah, that's what I talked. That's what I talked to somebody about. We might actually be talking about the same guy, honestly. But I don't
Is
know.
his name Ricky?
No, I don't think it's Ricky. Then maybe we're not talking about the same guy. But so yeah, that's a thing. But also, speaking of like weirdly distributed stuff, Snapchat released their new spectacles, which are sunglasses with a tiny camera in them. And the way that they release them is in the strangest way, is that they have random vending machines that would pop up randomly around the world. And you would go to the vending machine, which again randomly popped up everywhere, and buy your spectacles for $130.
Jesus
Wait, so
Christ!
what do these spectacles do exactly?
They have a camera built into them. So
That's it?
They're sunglasses. They're sunglasses with a built-in.
Oh, they're sunglasses. Okay, well then that justifies it.
But they're sunglasses
like-
with a built-in camera.
That I assume connects to Snapchat.
Yeah.
They're also an ugly vintage style.
They're not
Hey.
even in a vintage style. They're in like a gross, weird style. Like, I'm gonna
It's
actually,
postmodern vintage, thank you.
I'm gonna actually put up I'll put up a picture of them, whenever.
Oh,
Yeah, somebody look them up so you can look them up for yourself. I'll put the actual.
oh yeah, they like the middle is like a keyhole.
What in the world?
Hmm.
I mean, also on the plus side, I guess if we're lucky, this will cut down on the massive amount of selfies.
For I mean, for
Well,
anyone
you can
out
get
there
a-
that just wants glasses with cameras, I'm pretty sure there's like a million ones that already exist that are less than $50.
Yeah, I think it's one of the Snapchat things that are, we want to be cool and look at the unique things that we made or whatever. I don't know. They seem
Hey.
interesting, and honestly, like, this is one of those times where I wish that I would get paid to like review things, because I would pick them up and try them out and be like, either like these are terrible or these are great or whatever the hell. I just want to be able to use them without actually having to spend my money on them.
We could also do a study on just how much you get beat up.
It's fine. I'm okay with that. They're interesting, and I think the weirdest thing about them is that they showed up in these little weird looking vending machines, which I'll also put the picture of on there. They're like look up the spectacle vending machines too, but they're like
Pseudo shortage, basically.
they look like Minions kind of. It's
Oh
weird.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was
So-
a weird thing that they did.
It's like it kind of reminds me of have you seen those like vending machines in Best Buy that sell like really expensive stuff?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Or like-
reminds me of that.
or like they're just like Best Buy vending machines that you'll find like at an airport.
Yeah, I was gonna say they do those at
Or
airports.
the
don't
the ones at the mall that sell like Proactive and stuff.
That's the weird. Those I don't know why that seems so strange to me whenever I see it, but I'm like, this seems weird.
Also, Logan, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why, when we were talking about Pokemon, did you segue to Snapchat when we were going to talk about Pokemon?
Because I want to save the hype until the end so that I'm not just hyped and we're talking about it forever.
Hype, 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 hype.
Well, we can talk about Go.
Well, I was just gonna say I'll say this since it was a short thing. Nintendo Switch is a thing, and since we didn't do the podcast 2 weeks ago when it was actually announced, we never got to like really mention it.
Toast!
I'm excited because it looks cool, and having a system that changes from portable to like living room console is pretty cool. So
It's pretty, and if Nintendo succeeds at one thing, it's always making consoles that end up being more awesome than anyone thinks they'll be.
yeah, and of course they actually marketed this one properly for once. Because I even walked downstairs and like my local news station is like Nintendo Switch, and I was like, wait, they're actually talking about this? You mean Nintendo did something properly for once?
Well, no, they thought it was a toaster.
Right.
It probably is a toaster.
It's fine.
Dude, that'd be so awesome.
I can get some Nintendo themed toast. I'm cool with that.
That's why it's Nintendo Switch. It switches to a toaster when you're not expecting it.
Oh.
And
it just
then
stops
never
working
goes
as a
back.
game system, yeah. That would make me
Because
sad.
it just fries all of
It's
the
sad. I'd be
like,
happy. I've got toast.
Although
It literally fries the motherboard.
I do remember Scott and I were talking about one of the unrealistic things from the commercial was the fact that there was a bunch of people getting together to play MLG Splatoon. And that's just ridiculous.
Because that'll never happen.
I was actually like I was looking at some stuff the other day because Chugga Conroy has been doing a Splatoon quote unquote Let's Play, and I was like, they've actually made quite a bit of changes to Splatoon since the last time I remember. If I had a Wii U all the time, I'd probably play it more.
I picked it up. I played it again recently, and it was. It was still fun, but it's still just like I remember some of the things I didn't like about it. For one, the fact that like trying to level up your character is like still a gigantic pain in the ass. But
You just fight battles and they get points.
yeah, okay. It's not when I say pain in the ass. I mean it takes forever, and so like for somebody like me who doesn't want to sit there, and I guess the difference.
The attention span of a goldfish.
I don't have the attention span of a goldfish. It's just I'd much rather play that game with other people. I guess it's more. So if I like let's just say Scott, you got a Wii U that you brought to school with you, and you started playing it, and the two of us could party up. I'd play it with you all the time.
That's true. It is definitely the type of game I would much rather play with other people.
I can't play it by myself because like the match by myself just isn't a whole lot of fun. Playing the match with somebody else is actually a lot more fun, and I think I would be able to play repeated. Like I won't play Overwatch by myself. Trying to level up an Overwatch by myself I would hate it.
I only did that when the Halloween thing was happening, and I needed that Mercy skin.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only time I've ever solo queued was when I was desperate to get that Mercy skin.
Yeah, and that's more of what I mean is that like that's why the leveling up to me is more irritating. And it used to be, you remember when the game first came out, it didn't have a party system. I don't know if it does now, but
What? Splatoon?
Can you play with your friends now?
No, it did. It had one. It's just what did it not have? Because we played together. It was. There were my biggest thing about it was that you couldn't switch weapon sets unless you completely left like the game, basically the lobby.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just switch weapon sets.
So Splatoon is gonna replace Call of Duty, right?
Yep.
Hopefully.
It's like a kid version of Call of Duty in my mind.
Yeah. So all I pretty much know about the game still is that there's a lot of paint and like there are kids that are also squids, but not at the same time.
Yep, that's basically all you ever need to know.
Great, I'm an expert.
Mm-hmm. You're a kid squid expert.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be getting a Wii U until I get myself a PlayStation 4 when the PlayStation 5 comes out.
Mm-hmm. And by
'Cause
that time, the
there's-
Nintendo Switch will be out, and everything else will be out, and you'll just be...
There are so many games on the PlayStation that I want, but that's like An entire paycheck.
Yeah, I went ahead and just wasted that entire paycheck. So I mean,
Wait, did you actually trade for the Xbox or whatever?
no, I bought a PlayStation 4 a while back.
Oh,
I will buy an Xbox One eventually.
you're not gonna
Like-
get LJ's or whatever?
I hope so, but he's never gonna sell it to me. So
So
no, basically, yeah.
like I know I'll cave the moment Near Automata comes out.
I
Like
just
it'll
don't-
happen, and I'll cave, and I'll get it, and it'll be super rad, and I'll cry.
I'll probably get near as well. So I guess moving on from here, we could get into the real whatever we wanted to get, whatever I wanted to get into this entire time, and that is Pokemon.
Pokemon Go.
Yay!
Go.
We'll start with Pokemon Go. So yeah, Pokemon Go updated, which I feel
Is it
like
good now?
Mitchell could probably explain it better than I can.
Yeah, from what I can tell, it's the no longer shit update
Hey, I should reinstall it then.
Well,
where they made it so pretty much every Pokestop you get tons more stuff. Like I've consistently, like the lowest amount of stuff I've ever gotten from a Pokestop since like the day before yesterday was 6 items. So like I'll get like 6 Pokeballs, 3 regular and 3 great out of 1, and then the Pokemon encounter rate is just hugely increased. And like rather
Those,
than just seeing like 3 or 4, I'll see like 6 or 7. And another one of the main things they did, which is something they should have done from the start to keep the game addicting, is that every day you get a first catch of the day bonus and first Pokestop of the day bonus. And if you do it for 7 days in a row, you get like a major boost in experience.
Which is nice.
So like it keeps it addicting because that way you'll say, "Oh, I better just open it to get my one Pokemon for the day," and then while you're opening it, you're thinking about it, so you're still playing it throughout the day because it's suddenly on your mind.
Yeah.
unfortunately, sorry.
No, you go ahead, Scott.
Unfortunately, half of those features are temporary. The so the Pokestops giving a lot of items and the spawn rates, that's temporary. In fact, I think it's over after this
After this, what?
weekend.
That sucks.
So like, come
Oh.
Monday, it's back to normal. But the reason for that, and I don't remember, and I might be wrong. I do seem to remember it saying somewhere that it was temporary. But the reason for that is that they recently changed the game. Well, before they implemented all that cool stuff, they changed the game and made everyone really mad again because basically what they did is they imposed a speed limit on Pokestops. Which it basically essentially what it is that you can't you bet now like it's impossible to play the game as a passenger in a car. Like if you're in a moving vehicle at all, the game just doesn't function basically.
Which is perfectly fine since the point of the game is to walk anyway.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
people-
I'm not personally mad about that, but a lot of people are furious and they're like,
Well, I mean,
"Ugh." But that so it was in like response to that they did the increased payouts and stuff. Well, because what was it? There was like an argument someone gave, but the argument like didn't matter, kind of, because like okay, so like I think, and maybe I'm just remembering it wrong, but I think an argument someone said was like, which this first of all, there's been this ongoing thing where they said they should just rename the game to Pokemon Go to San Francisco because pretty much like if you look at what it's like in San Francisco Pokemon Go versus basically anywhere else, it's like worlds apart.
I mean,
You know, we're like, oh, they fixed the shitty spawn rate and the Pokestop payouts. Like that was never an issue in California, pretty much. Like there's Pokestops, there's hundreds everywhere, stuff like that. So people were like, one guy was like, I live in a rural area where I have to drive 5 miles just to find one Pokestop, and it's like this ruins it for me. I'm like, well, wait, wouldn't you just go there and park and then do it? Like, how does this? If you were doing that anyway, how does this update like change that?
Going to
I mean, like,
I was gonna
Sorry,
say
no, go.
cities are specifically big, like Oh, see, now do I want to tell? Do I want to explain where I live?
Da-
Downtown.
Downtown Asheville is a great place to play Pokemon Go.
Especially at the college. There's so much stuff there. But then you get out to the middle of the woods, like where I live, and there is nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say this:
Downtown
Asheville-
specifically.
Asheville is actually a good place in general, like North Carolina, Asheville, because churches everywhere, and every church is a Pokestop.
Yeah, or like you go to the botanical gardens just off of campus, and every 10 feet there's a stone slab in the ground, which is another Pokestop.
Yeah.
Or a graveyard. There's a graveyard fairly close to my
I
house.
still think that's kind of wrong.
I haven't actually been to it, but it's really easy to see. Like, I'll be like by it. There's like a store that I'll go to that's pretty close to it, and I'll just be looking. It's like it took me like 2 weeks to figure out that was a graveyard because I just saw this one area where there's just like all stacked on top of each other, like 10 or 11, just like right on top of each other. Like, what is this? Clicked on one day. Oh, that's a gravestone. Well, that's also a gravestone. Well, that's what the fuck.
I mean, it's just the problem is that Pokemon spawn based off of, from what I can tell, Pokestop locations and
Cell
buildings
usage.
on the map. Well, not just cell issues, but on the map, every little gray building you see is a spawn point for Pokemon. And living out in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't display it. Not to mention that the maps that they use are at bare minimum 4 to 5 years old. So they don't display a lot of newer buildings. And they don't have the abilities to detect buildings like newer satellite maps do.
It was based off of Niantic's other game,
Ingress.
where the portals were or the things were based off of the portals in the game, and I think that they were made by the players and where the players often went. So basically, the amount of Pokestops is based on where a majority of people who were playing the other game would stop and do things. They were kind of based roughly off of that. So yeah, it doesn't appeal to people who are in like rural areas and stuff because nobody went out there to play them. People went to monuments and stuff and played.
Yeah, so
Ingress.
the higher the population, the more likely there were Ingress players, the more
more
Pokestops there are going to be.
The more
which
city
also-
space you're in, the higher.
Which also explains why in a place in the South, why every church would be a Pokestop.
True.
Yeah. The other
Just
thing,
remember the story of the poor Canadian guy that's 200 miles away from the closest Pokestop.
the next best thing with it is that they're finally releasing the next gen 2 sometime soon. So we're finally going to get.
I don't think that's been confirmed. I think that was just kind of a data mine conclusion, though. But I mean, yeah.
Okay,
Very
so
safe to say.
in theory,
I mean, in the beginning, didn't they say that they would add more Pokemon? It's just a matter of time.
yeah.
All right. You know, they
And I'm glad they did it the way they did, not throwing them all at once or like even like within a month, since it would have been such a cluster of like 700 different options early game.
I guess that there was maybe a. It was maybe the like idea that they needed to ramp up the speed that they released them, is what some people are thinking. When did the game actually come out? It was over the summer.
July.
July.
Yeah, July
July?
8th or something like that.
And so we're getting the first update. What? 4 months later? 3 months later? I don't even know.
I mean, they've done a lot of micro updates and stuff, but it's the first
Not-
real big
first-
content
first-
patch.
Amount of new Pokemon we're getting
Mm-hmm.
since July, and I think some people obviously, it was a huge deal when it first came out, and then like people stopped giving a shit about it, which was to be expected.
Well, part of the problem is that they kept on releasing updates that broke the game.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I think it was the first major update broke the tracking system, which was finicky but worked fine, and then
Oh,
had never been fixed.
they're actually updating the tracking system too. So now instead of
God.
or supposedly I think it's
Well,
still,
they say this.
so basically instead of it being like this Pokemon is X miles away, the Pokemon will have a picture next to it to kind of
Full
tell you
nuance.
the area, what area it's around, so that way you can kind of go around there and find it.
But that only works. It's Pokestop based, I'm pretty sure. So if you're in a place that has no Pokestops, it doesn't work.
Hell.
Can't make
They
it perfect. That's the problem.
that
Yeah,
well,
that
yeah, they
makes-
can. They did at the beginning.
I thought that system only worked for half the people, though.
No, it worked for everybody, and then they updated it and it broke, and then they just decided to take it out because they didn't want to fix it. Also, the thing like a lot of people get mad about things, and I don't usually like the one thing that I do think that they're doing wrong is that there were lots of third-party trackers online that worked perfectly and people used and were like amazing. And basically, instead of trying to make a working tracker for their game, Niantic put tons of energy into taking those down. And it's like, and they're like, and they even like responded to people asking about a tracker. They're just like, these things, they take time and stuff. Anything we do, you got to be patient. It's going to take quite a while to implement things. And then they're like, oh, it sure didn't take you a long time to shut all the other things down. You remember a long time ago, or not a long time ago, but the whole Blizzard fiasco with the WoW server, the Nullstra, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? It's kind of the same thing. It's like it's like the only reason this exists is because you haven't done, like, if you implement a tracker that actually works in the game, people wouldn't use those. They're only using them because you removed it and can't fix it. And it's like, if some random people online figured out a way to make it perfect, then how can Niantic, who got 200, I don't think it was million, I think it was that would be crazy, maybe 1,000, a lot of money from the Halloween update that they just did. Like, some random Joe Schmo who's relying on ad revenue on his website made a perfect tracker, and the company that made this game that's swimming in money right now can't.
Loads of money.
Also, it's not even as if these people made like a duplicate game with a working tracker. They made a third-party product that improved the game that you released. They're not losing anything by these other trackers existing.
Because they're not playing the tracker instead of the game. They're using it at the same time. So if anything, it made people play it more.
Not playing the game in the way the game is meant to be played. Because it was meant for you to go on your own and naturally find stuff that with the tracker you can just learn where it's at instantly.
And that's why there needs to be a happy medium that they implement in there. It's like, if there was like a compass or something, that would be fine. It's just kind of like when there's like one Pokemon per 9 square miles, it's not a lot of fun to just wander aimlessly and never find anything.
And the thing that I said specifically that's my problem, which kind of goes along with it, is that I've always said the reason why I want Pokemon Go Plus so bad is because I don't like the fact that I can't just idle my phone. Like, if I could just have my phone be idle and then it went off when a Pokemon was near, which actually that'd be really irritating now that I think about it. But
I thought that was the original plan, though.
That's what everybody thought. The problem with the whole thing is that I think a lot of it was maybe just hearsay, and then so eventually it got to the point where everybody was like, "This is what I expect of the app," and it was the whole deal of expectation.
No Man's Sky syndrome.
Yeah, but
also, in lieu of the same thing with No Man's Sky, wasn't just hearsay. It's kind of what they implied when you watch the trailer. That's kind of what you see. The trailer even showed people battling and trading and like being like a community inside the game, which they flat out told us will never be a part of the game once it was released.
I just don't think that I think that they released it too soon in a way. Like, I really think that they didn't go through with all the planning that they could have. It was just kind of not exactly the same boat, but the Sonic 06 thing, where they were just kind of like, just get the shit out. Like, we need it to be done.
But that being said, I'm not really too distraught or angry about any of this, since, once again, the game is still free, and there's nothing in the game that you can buy that you can't get just by playing the game.
Yeah. I just want that being able to idle it. That's all I want out of it, and then I would play it so much more. That's the whole thing for me.
Same, like,
honestly, wait, when you say idle it, what do you mean? Just turn your screen
off his phone.
I can turn my screen off, put it in my pocket, and get alerts. when I'm near something. So that way that like versus, I can't just wander around
Right.
and have an alert. And so like I have to keep my phone open constantly. Like I have to be
And it
adamant.
eats battery.
And I want basically what the Pokemon Go Plus does, where you walk around and the watch goes off. It alerts you that you're near a Pokemon. You press a button, you get a chance of catching it. You're good. You pass by a Pokestop, you press a button, you get the items. You're good, and that's all you have to do. I want that aspect out of it, to where I don't have to like constantly have my phone in front of me.
Which is also much safer as well, since you're like being able to go and move and be outside without being glued to your phone. And granted, like you can put the mode in like battery saver mode, or when it's upside down, like in your pocket, it'll. I'm making air quotes, no one can see me. Like it'll use less battery, and it uses marginally less battery, and it's really hard to notice it vibrate unless you have like your headphones in, which not everyone's going to do. So honestly, like it's nigh unplayable without the watch itself, which I'm gonna get back into the game completely probably if I ever get my hands on one. If not, every time there's a tiny update, I'll open the game again for 2 or 3 days. I'm probably going to play again up until I get to that 7th day XP bonus, realize it's not worth it, and then not play until they add new Pokemon.
So now that we talk Pokemon Go to death,
Buckle in.
the biggest news, Pokemon Sun and Moon comes out next week, and I am ecstatic.
I'm super excited.
Which, of course, gonna choose the cutest of the starters, and still love the other starter that everybody else hates. So that's just me.
Well, like now I feel like I have to get Lydon. Now, what was the comparison you made earlier today?
Oh, it's a Balrog. He basically turns into a Balrog.
Yeah, once like because we rewatched the first Lord of the Rings today, and we got to the scene of the Balrog, and you mentioned Lydon. How and like
it's final
they
evolution.
It's like they actually have like pretty much the same silhouette, except one's like pointier. Now I have to get Lydon and name it Balrog.
Because basically Litton's final evolution, which I can never remember its name, but it's
Cineroar, I think.
Yeah, Cineroar. Cineroar
Lucha Libre.
Yeah, Lucha Libre. Cineroar is a dark fire type, and when the Balrog showed up, I can't remember if one of us made a joke about it. It's something that's actually said in the movie. They said it's just darkness and fire, and I was like, yeah, it's just Litton's evolution. It's a dark fire type.
Oh, no, I remember it was they asked what happened to Gandalf, and I think it was Aragorn said he was consumed by shadow and flame or something like that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, so it's just Litton's evolution, because it's just a dark fire.
Side note: Lord of the Rings still dope as hell.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so that comes out next week. Scott said something about what is it, data mine?
Yeah, there was a big. Well, I think like people got a hold of ROMs for the game beforehand, so
Don't spoil it though.
like I mean, I don't know anything because I didn't want it to be spoiled for me too. But I only know like a couple of things, and they're all like none of them are story based. They're all just basically like stat move type stuff. The like one big one that people are talking about is that Leech Life got buffed to 80 base power now,
Which is
nothing
astounding.
new,
Like, huge.
pretty amazing.
Well, like Leech Life is an attack that's
I know what Leech Life is.
does very little damage, and then you heal a little bit over time. Now it does a shit ton of damage, and I assume you still heal the same amount.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still heal proportional to the damage.
That's insane.
What else was it? So I know that Wishy-Washy, I think is its name, the like little fish that turns into the giant school of fish.
It's wishy-washy,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The single fish is now the new lowest stat total in the whole game Pokemon. It's like it. I think it has beaten Sunkern for that title. But the school form has like stats through the roof, so it's kind of cool. It's like the thing is like literally the weakest Pokemon in the whole game, but then when it combines with more, it becomes extremely
So
strong.
it's the third Magikarp now.
Yeah, kind of.
Is this
Also,
Generation 6 or 7?
7.
Okay, because like I say,
Also,
like if it was
just
6, then we'd have a new Magikarp every 3 generations.
and also just in general, all of the new Pokemon are slow as balls. Like really slow. All
Well,
their
they're
speed stats are just abysmal. Pretty much is what it seems like.
well, they're lethargic because they just bake in the sun all day and relax.
That's
See, that's what I
crazy.
said as a joke, and now I'm like, you know what? That might actually like be the thematic reason.
Apparently, though, you said that the story's supposed to be like fucking crazy good, right?
According to Ray, who read what the story is and what happens story wise, he said we're in for some pretty crazy shit. So I'm excited.
I mean,
I'm excited to find out what these like stand Pokemon are.
the fucking scary buggy Pokemon, yeah, those are.
Yeah, the one that looks like Larry the Lobster and all those like.
Really?
There's a
Yeah.
Macho Man mosquito Pokemon.
Yeah,
Oh, Jesus.
Also,
honest-
apparently, according to Ray, all of those have ridiculous stats.
I imagine
And
they
one
would.
one of them even has access to the move Tail Glow, which is insane because that only I think like 2 Pokemon learn that, Volbeat and a special Manaphy. But that's a crazy move. It raises your special attack by 3 stages,
Oh,
which is half of the maximum. So if you do that twice, you're at maximum special attack.
that's crazy.
Yeah, there's a.
No.
It's kind of in that. It's in that. There's like one other move that kind of does a similar thing as Cotton Guard, which is the same thing but with defense. But yeah, so
Yeah.
there's some pretty crazy stuff going
No.
on.
I'm super excited for this. It seems like out of all the Pokemon games, this is the one that's making the most changes in like a single game. Like X and Y did a lot as like they're like, okay, this is our reboot. This is us starting from scratch and like kind of starting it over with a fresh like new coat of paint and added some stuff. But this is the first one that's like actually looking like it's going to change the structure of the game.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I mean, of course, you know, the last game I got to the point with the thing where Lysander's like, yeah, there was Pokemon genocide. I'm like, the what? And so like, if they can beat my what levels on that, then grats to them.
Oh, they're Pokefiles now.
Oh, please
It's,
no.
it's really quite sad.
They've just moved. They've gone from genocide to being furries.
No, it's not.
Bestiality.
Well, I'll say this. What's the guy's name? The black guy. He's in the cop show. He's a rapist. Ice T. Yeah,
Oh, Jesus.
he's gonna be here and he's gonna say some wildly inappropriate timed stuff.
What was the? I can't remember the. I can't actually remember the professor from this game. What his name was, and if he still follows Tree.
Yeah, Professor Tropic Tree.
Paul.
Tree.
I don't remember what his actual name was.
I don't either.
Also, going off of the demo, the one thing I could say I don't really like about the game so far is the fact that it actually tells you what's effective and not effective inside the attack menu now. Since that takes a big part of the, I'd say, strategy out of the game.
You know what the funniest thing is? I swear to God,
I was
swear to
waiting
God,
for Logan to explode
I
about
said
this.
that,
I was
and
like,
I was like-
I was like, Logan's not saying anything. This is funny.
the funniest part about that is the fact that I was sitting there and I said, the moment I saw it, I said, Mitchell's going to hate this. I said, Mitchell is going to hate this because I like it. The reason I like it is because you don't automatically get it. You have to research the Pokemon first. That was the whole thing about it, is that like you have to do something to just get that. And for me, being a person who hates having to have a fucking tree open all the time, like a chart for the things, I hate that. I hate having to have a type chart. Because to me, I can kind of remember some of them, but then there are some stupid ones. Like, some of them make sense. I think Scott made the poison ground type weakness make sense to me. I don't remember if it was you.
I mean, I've said the reason before, so
It was probably you. The whole fact that it's like, I get that. In my opinion, the reason... Steel beats fairy, right?
yeah.
In my head, I made the reason of a fairy in a cage. To me, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so, like, I get some of them. Fire, water, fire and water weaknesses, grass and fire weaknesses. Like, I get those. Some of them are like, just, this makes sense. Some of them, it's like, what the fuck? But, to me personally, I like it. Because I like it basically telling me, especially if the move is going to be super effective, just effective, or not very effective. The fact
So
that it's...
actually, so wait, can't talk. So where, like, how exactly, because I haven't played the demo or seen it, so I'm not really clear on where does it say this? Does it say it, like,
on
underneath the attack?
On the moves, like on the actual attack, it has a little tiny
Oh,
thing in the
so, like-
corner that says super effective, effective, or not very effective. But it doesn't do that the first time you encounter a Pokemon. I think what you have to do is there's a new, like, camera system in it. So I think you have to take a picture of the Pokemon first. Then once you get the information from the picture of the Pokemon, then it becomes a thing. Does that make sense?
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
It's not just like when you encounter a Pokemon, you automatically know what's weak and what's not to it. So the first time you see a Pokemon, if you haven't already taken a picture of it, you're just like, what the hell? What do I use?
Or you could just like infer by its color scheme.
Doesn't always work.
Does not.
No,
yeah.
no, not always. But
I remember Florges and, like, Flabebe and stuff. That one threw me because I thought I was like, oh, it's totally grass, and
it's got to be grass.
it's got to be grass. Same thing with Duosion. I thought that was grass.
I don't know Duosion off the top of my head.
It's the, like, cell Pokemon. It's
Oh,
like green and
The
bubbly.
one that I think is
Oh,
adorable.
the anus Pokemon.
I love that Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was grass at first just because it was green.
Yeah.
I called it the anus Pokemon to someone the other day, and he screamed at me saying, "No, it's a jelly baby."
Yeah, so, like, I'm excited about all the stuff coming out. Team Skull look like a bunch of punks, and I love it.
They look so dumb.
They
I
look
can't
so
wait.
dumb, and it's the best thing ever.
I can't wait.
Also, the professor is named Kukuri, I believe.
Bill.
It's
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Kukui.
Kukui?
Kukui.
Oh, never mind.
Apparently, the actual tree is called a candle nut tree. I assume it's just what people. Oh, it's Hawaii state tree. So
That makes sense.
yeah,
I wonder if in Pokemon Go, once they get that far, all of the like Pokemon that have Alola forms will be region locked, so that people in Hawaii can only get the Alola forms, but you can only get the Alola forms in Hawaii.
and then you can only find Trubbish in New York
That would make sense.
or Garbodor.
Or anywhere where the like the city trash collectors
Find 'em
are
at
like on
landfills.
Riot.
Yeah. And then
They
you can
need to make this game political and topical.
Yes.
Well, I think
Like
that's
there's
it.
I think like also like there's a major earthquake and you see a lot of like rock and ground Pokemon, or like flash fires. You see a lot of fire type.
Hurricane hits a bunch of
When
water
that
types from
house
far
caught fire in
land.
my neighborhood, I remember the first thing you asked me when I was saying it was like, "Oh, did you see any Ponytas there?" House burned completely to the ground. And Mitchell's first
Jesus.
question: "So were there any Ponytas there, or
You know, I
Magmars?"
should have gone over to the forest
mean,
fire over here the other day and checked.
Also, I probably asked about a Vulpix, I imagine.
I don't remember. I know a Ponyta was one of them. Well, that's all the news for today.
Yuck.
Yuck, thank you, Scott. Yeah, I said that and I was like, that sounds terrible. Anyways, goodbye.
Bye.
Please send help.